had a wonderful weekend. Stephen A. Smith, Donovan McNabb, Max Kellerman. I'm Molly Qerim. How we doing, guys?
Yeah.
Oh.
What's up, y'all?
Is that how you talk to the ladies, or is that you upset?
That's not how I talk to you. Okay. Let's just get the show started, man.
Did you have a good time at the fight?
I did that.
All right.
I did that. And I appreciate, let me thank my man
Ward
right here.
and Kovalev.
Hooking me,
That was a hell of a fight.
hooking me up with some fly tickets. He had me ringside. Appreciate the love, big bro. Appreciate the
Glad to
love.
see you show
no
up.
doubt.
All right,
No doubt.
let's get into it. We start with America's team, who just keeps on winning, Mr. Smith. 9-1. You like the sound of that, Cowboys Nation? Their 9th straight win is the longest single-season streak in franchise history with their 10-point win over the Ravens. Stephen A., are the Cowboys now the team to beat in the NFC?
No.
Stephen
No.
A.
Come on.
No,
Stephen A.
no,
Are you sleeping during the game?
no. I'm not giving it up to them yet. Look, I will concede. Dak Prescott's a bad boy. There's no question about it. Dak Prescott's a bad brother. Ezekiel Elliott is a bad brother. That massive offensive line, I mean, they're the modern-day Hogs, okay? They're the modern-day Hogs, which the Redskins should take personally and handle their business this Thanksgiving because they're the original Hogs, and they should remind everybody they're the original Hogs and handle their business this coming Thanksgiving Day. Having said that, I must concede that Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott are some bad brothers. I'm proud of the young brothers, no doubt. But it's 10 games in. 10 games does not make a season, okay? It starts right now. They are 9-1. They have won 9 straight. I think it has been that against, the majority of mediocre competition. I believe that there is still games to be played. I am watching the Seattle Seahawks and the way that they're bowling your pick, all right, to win it all. And I'm saying, hey, I'd rather side with Max first before I concede that the Dallas Cowboys are the team to beat. Now, I don't see experience on their side. I don't know what Dak is going to do once the playoffs arrive. I don't know what Ezekiel Elliott is going to do, even though he's a running back, so he should be able to do whatever it is that he does. I saw receivers, they weren't open, but they looked open because they were just snatching balls from defenders and all of that other stuff. I don't see that happening against Seattle. So I am not willing to concede as of yet. I will confess that the Dallas Cowboys deserve our respect. And dare I say, am I getting a little bit tight? Am I getting a little bit nervous? I'll admit it. You got me. I'll admit that. But that's about as far as I am going. I am not giving anything else to the Cowboys.
The Cowboys are the team to beat in the NFC. And let me just say, Cowboys fans, particularly Cowboys fans who are out of market, like from Jersey and stuff, I really hate you with everything I got. That's just the wrong. There's something wrong with you. But I have to admit, they are the team to beat in the NFC. Whether they're the team to beat at the end of the season, we'll see.
Right.
Seattle remains my pick to go to the Super Bowl. Right. I called it before the season started. Seattle, New England, Super Bowl rematch from 2 years ago. I like Seattle in this one. We'll see what happens ultimately. We don't know what team the Cowboys will be week 17. That's the real question. But right now, heading into week 12, they got the best point differential in the NFL. Not second best to the Patriots, the best point differential in the NFL. Now, maybe you could say, hey, you could throw a lot of running backs and a lot of quarterbacks behind that offensive line, and they would ball at least as well as these two guys. By the way, that might be true, but those other guys aren't behind this offensive line. Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott are, and they are tearing the league up. And the defense is good. Now, you could say that's a result of the offense and ball control and all that, and maybe you're right. But again, we don't know what it would be otherwise. We just know what is. The defense isn't giving up a lot of points or a lot of yards. They're among the elite in the NFL. This is the best team in the NFC right now, period.
I've had this battle going on for the last 3 weeks on my radio show, 10 p.m. Eastern, 1 a.m. on channel 80 XM Radio.
McNabb and Custer.
McNabb and
Wait a
Custer.
minute,
Check
channel
us out.
80 XM Radio when?
McNabb and Custer, 10 p.m. to 1 a.m.
Gotcha.
Every Sunday night.
You break a lot of new news. A lot of things get picked up. I
Well,
think emails.
we try to do what we can. You like that drop? Now, the thing
I give mine every day.
I know you do.
I do like it.
I know. But this is the thing that I've had a problem with the Seattle Seahawks. I love what they do. I love the way they play in November and December. I love when a healthy Russell Wilson is at the quarterback position, because now all of a sudden the receivers become valuable. Doug Baldwin, now he can run around and find a way to get open. Kearse finds a way to get open. Jimmy Graham is now starting to look like the Jimmy Graham from New Orleans. But the problem that I have with Seattle is the running game. Procise was a guy all of a sudden came on the scene from Notre Dame, started opening up eyes. He gets hurt. He'll have some time away, probably about 4 to 6 weeks. He'll be out. Then you talk about Rawls coming back off of injury. There's no healthy running back that can take the pressure off of Russell Wilson. So right now, I have the number one team in the NFC as the Dallas Cowboys because they are healthy on the offensive end. They're running the football very effectively. Number one in the run game in the NFL. Dak Prescott is handling the blitz the right way, getting the ball to his receivers and giving them an opportunity to make plays for him. Jason Witten is also looking like a great receiver, just like Cole Beasley. Dez Bryant, after the situation that happened with his dad, I think he's now calmed down and understood a little bit more about his value to the football field and also off the football field.
You mean the same Dez Bryant that you said you would trade?
Absolutely.
You mean that same dude?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I sit here and I admit it. Absolutely.
And you were ready to give up on him. So you
I wasn't ready to get up on him. I said if they trade him at the end of the season. But the thing that the Dez Bryant that is showing me as well as showing everybody is that he's at peace now. Now, what does that do as far as him coming in the facility at the right time and also not missing meetings? Then that's the direction they'll find out at the end. But for right now, I like what I'm seeing from this offense. There's a reason Scott Linehan told Tony Romo, Dak Prescott is our guy going forward. There's a reason all of a sudden you're not hearing Jerry Jones speak anymore, even after the press conference, which it wasn't needed by Tony Romo. I needed Jason Garrett. Remember I said this on the show? I need Jason Garrett to come out and say Dak Prescott is our guy, and he's going to lead us to where we want to go. I need Jason Garrett, the head coach, to say that. But for everything about Dallas Cowboys right now, they're balanced. They're balanced on offense, and on defense, Rob Marinelli is doing a great job on defense.
Seattle's defense is way better.
But they're getting healthy.
Defense.
That's the thing. They're getting healthier. When Cam Chancellor was out, that defense looked confused at times. Now Michael Bennett is coming back in the next couple of weeks, so they'll have their guys back on defense, but they still have no running back.
This is what you can say about the Cowboys, and this is why Cowboys fans are gloating. Every NFL team, you look at the season through rose-colored glasses when it starts. If this goes right, if this goes right, every single thing that could go right has gone right for them, including when Dez Bryant comes back. He's going to be that extra dimension to the offense, right? He's been that, too. Dak is hooked up with Dez a couple of times yesterday to put them over the top in terms of the offense. Like, what are the odds that your rookie quarterback, I don't care how promising, plays this well, that your rookie running back plays this well, that the game plan to control the ball and help your defense works out this well? I mean, it all came together for them, so at a certain point, you got to give it up.
Well, I don't have to give it up.
Well, it's okay.
Not just yet. And I like to point out a couple of other things. Look, I don't mean to be negative. I don't mean to be that. But did you read news about Rolando McClain?
Yeah.
And how he's going to be out?
Yeah, he was supposed to be back today.
No, he was supposed to be back after 10 games out. But because of that, now he's going to be suspended for the year. He's appealing the suspension and all of that other stuff. Missed the drug test. Well, no. I bring that up because you got to remember something about me. I've never said that the Dallas Cowboys weren't talented. As a matter of fact, coming into the season, I picked them to win the NFC East.
You did.
What I said was, they're an accident waiting to happen.
Yeah.
Somehow, some way, something's going to happen. It wouldn't surprise me at all if Rolando McClain wasn't the only person that goes down over the next few weeks for off-field transgressions. Anything can happen. Anything because they can't stay off the weed. I don't see it happening. Something's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. But I know. I have faith in Dak Prescott. He's a leader and a winner.
Right.
I have faith in Ezekiel Elliott because I think he's gotten a bad rap with some of the things that have been put out there about him. You're either going to go after him or you're not, as opposed to going after him, dropping the case and then bringing it back on and all of this other stuff. I got questions about that. But as a football player, this brother's a stud. I think he could be relied upon. Dak Prescott is a stud. I think he could be relied upon. The other members of the Dallas Cowboys, I'm just not so sure. And for me, I'm like, wait a minute. You got Washington coming up. You got a rematch against the Giants coming up. You got Detroit and Philadelphia coming up. You got about 5 of the next 6 games of the Dallas Cowboys. They're going to have, it's going to get a little bit tight.
You can't predict anything about the NFC East. They've had a soft schedule so far.
Soft schedule. Nobody wants to say that.
Part of that's because those
with
team.
the soft
Part of that,
schedule.
no, they have. If you look at the
Giants
You
one,
have
should
a
be
soft
ashamed of
schedule
yourself
right now.
arguing with me about
if
that.
you look
point.
at the one-loss record of their opponents, it's bad. Part of that's because those guys are playing the Cowboys. But even taking that out, they have not had a very hard schedule so far this year. That is true. We will see in the next
We're
several
looking at
weeks.
the end result of it all because now, I mean, you can basically say that the New Orleans Saints are not a good team and everybody should beat them. They're just that close from beating some of these top teams, and they'll probably make the playoffs. So let's just stop with the whole soft schedule deal because I think they'll beat the Giants when they play the Giants.
We'll see.
I think they beat the Eagles when
They
play
didn't
them.
week one.
I'll remember that, Donovan.
Hey,
all right.
I mean, hey,
we'll
don't get mad
remember
at me.
that.
I just report the news.
Really?
He just breaks
Really?
it. A little later in the show, we're going to discuss if Dak Prescott on McNabb and Custer is the league MVP right now. What do you
Eagles
think
saying
on
this
Twitter? Go on, vote. Is Dak the MVP of football? We'll share those results a little later in the show. So Dak's the new bad man, Stephen A. Let's get into the original bad man. The Packers have now dropped 4 straight, losing to the Redskins 42-24, but there's more news off the field. In a column for the Bleacher Report, former and current Packer players were asked about Aaron Rodgers, and while most had only positive things to say about the former Super Bowl MVP, former tight end Jermichael Finley said Rodgers wasn't put on earth to lead and is self-centered. Another anonymous source in the article, who was close to Rodgers for years but has since been cut off by him, said Rodgers hasn't spoken to his family since December 2014, and the strain of his personal life is affecting his play on the field. Quote, there's no explanation for him playing any worse. People are trying to figure it out. He's a bleeping head case. He knows he's doing the wrong thing, and he's so arrogant and so prideful that he thinks he can separate himself from his personal life, from his professional life, even though all of us know that is impossible. Donovan?
You know, is
Rodgers the problem for this team?
Is he the problem? No. The defense is the problem, and the offensive play calling is the problem. What we've seen as far as the production is concerned, if you look at the numbers, Aaron Rodgers has played fairly well. Now, when you watch from the eye test, yeah, he's off, meaning he's missing receivers, little checks and things of that nature. He's off due to just decision-making. Now, off the field, yeah, we knew about the spat between he and his brother because his brother ended up doing, I think, The Bachelor, and his name was brought up a couple times on the show. Nobody wants to be a part of that whole deal. As far as I think that was his assistant or so that he fired, whatever reason it may have been. Yeah, he had some issues with it. I know Jermichael Finley. I've talked to him many times about what's going on in Green Bay. And it's not the first time that I've heard that Aaron Rodgers was that way, but I've also heard that about other quarterbacks in the league as well. So it's nothing new to me. When I look at them as a football team, everyone talks about McCarthy. And I sat down and we talked a little bit on our show last night. I think Don Capers gets fired, the defensive coordinator, before they decide to part ways with McCarthy. This defense has been awful. I mean, I know that they've had injuries in the secondary, but there's no reason Clay Matthews should be looking this bad. Julius Peppers is about 35, 36 years old. He looks a little slow, but he looks as their best defensive player out there. And why is that? Maybe it's because they're play calling, they're not blitzing enough, they're putting their corners out on the island. Now you look at that game last night, and you're giving up on 3rd and 1, second and 5, and you're giving up deep balls to Crowder and Garcon and Deshaun Jackson. That has nothing to do with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers was putting him in position to come back. If Cook didn't drop that ball after the fumble with Norman, we would be talking about what a great comeback that was, and possibly saying what's wrong with the Redskins, because their defense at times gives up too much. So I just think for Aaron Rodgers, on a personal issue, yeah, it could be weighing on him a little bit, not about his brother, but maybe about the situation that he has in front of him at this particular point with his fiance.
Let me chime in here and let me say this. First of all, the problem's not Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
The problem's Ted Thompson. Personnel that you got in terms of the depth chart is definitely Dom Capers. Mike McCarthy should have never had play calling duties taken away from him. He got it back this year. There are times where it's not obviously ideal, but for the most part, he does a good job with the play calling. Aaron Rodgers had a 115 quarterback rating last night. He didn't play shabby. It's just that Kirk Cousins played better because he was going up against that horrific secondary. I want to throw 3 names out here because I think it's important to point these names out. Quentin Rollins, Ladarius Gunter, and Mekhi Hyde. My brothers, y'all should be so ashamed of yourself. It was bad. I mean, they were horrible. I could not. I was like this. Damn, they wear an NFL uniform. I know they're not starters, but my God, Crowder and then Crowder again and then Garcon. I'm sorry, Crowder and then Garcon and then Crowder again. And this is unbelievably embarrassing. I mean, Kirk Cousins it was like just throwing. It was 7-on-7. It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable how bad it is. So we know that Green Bay's defense is the problem because they're horrendous. There is no question about it, and Mike McCarthy has to assist Ted Thompson and other guys in getting that fixed. But here's the important point to mention, as far as I'm concerned, as it pertains to this segment. Jermichael Finley is wrong. That person who gave the anonymous quote is wrong. You don't talk about somebody's family. None of us, everybody here got problems with brothers and sisters from time. I know I do. Mm-hmm. Okay, trust me, I do. All right. The point is, it ain't everybody's business.
Right.
And the fact that, listen, I don't give a damn what Aaron Rodgers is going through. You don't have any business as a contemporary, as a player, as a colleague to be sitting up there, Max, and talking about how, well, you know what, you think he could separate the personal from the professional. Yes, you can. You can have problems at home and still show up to work and perform.
Some people can compartmentalize, some can't.
That's fine, but Aaron Rodgers, we've seen no evidence. According to his brother, these are things that have been happening, and his brother, by the way, had no business talking about his business either, but that's a different subject. The point that I'm trying to make to you is that having said all of that, Aaron Rodgers' history as a quarterback shows he has the capability to go out there and perform. You don't bring up his personal family business to talk about his performance on the field. I think that's crossing the line.
I wanted to address that. Jermichael Finley is, yes, he shouldn't have brought up his family. I agree.
Right.
If you're an NFL player, as Donovan McNabb knows, when you add the practice squad and you add the coaching staff and everything, you're dealing with over 100 people on every season that you're interacting with and can watch you in some capacity, and there's turnover every season. Once you've been in the league 8-10 years, there are hundreds and hundreds of people who have some kind of knowledge of you, and the chances are a couple of them aren't going to be crazy about you, almost no matter who you are, particularly if you are a little standoffish or arrogant. So I know where there's smoke. And maybe something here applies to Aaron Rodgers. I'm not dismissing it out of hand, but he shouldn't have brought up his family. And I think just statistically speaking, it's likely you're going to find someone like Jermichael Finley to talk out the side of their mouth about you almost no matter who you are. So that's one. Two, it's not Aaron Rodgers. It's the defense and the running game, really. They really don't have a running game. And the defense, as sometimes I think you'll go over the top, Stephen A. Smith. Not in this case. I think your outrage, your indignation is justified about this. That defense is not an NFL caliber defense. I forgot who was it, Collinsworth? Who brought it up on the air the other day that their best defender turns the other offensive player into like a Pro Bowl player.
Oh, they named about 4 of them. Well, quarterbacks had a plus 100
It's
QB rating.
Unbelievable how bad the defense is. Now, is that coaching? Well, yeah, first of all, coaches got to put you in a position to succeed, and they're not doing that. And then players have to execute, and they're not doing that. This is what I want to bring up about Aaron Rodgers, okay? He is not what he was before the beginning of last season. Last season, or almost a little more than a season and a half, he's just been an elite quarterback, not the best player in football. But I want to point something out. This is where quarterbacks take the blame and the credit for team success. Eli Manning, 5-0 in his last 5 games, and I think we can all agree he's playing a good quarterback. I'm not saying he's playing MVP level, but he's a good quarterback. 5-0, Aaron Rodgers 0-4, and the sky is falling, right? Over that time, touchdowns to interceptions. Both have 12 touchdowns. Aaron Rodgers has thrown 3 interceptions. Eli Manning has thrown 6. Completion percentage, Aaron Rodgers 64%, Eli Manning 63. QBR, Aaron Rodgers 74, which is elite, Eli Manning 68. The difference is Aaron Rodgers has been sacked 13 times, and he's much more mobile than Eli, obviously. Eli's been sacked 3 times over that time. So basically, Aaron Rodgers, in spite of playing on a much worse team at the moment, is doing a little better than Eli Manning, who's 5-0, and everyone would acknowledge is playing a good quarterback.
People don't think of Eli as the same level, so they look at that as a knock.
Yeah.
I know.
I was wondering why you even brought Eli Manning.
Because Eli is an excellent quarterback.
Okay.
He's not?
No.
How many Super Bowl MVPs you got?
Will you stop going to the Super Bowls?
Why? It's only the most important thing.
If he don't make the Super Bowl, does he make the playoffs? His regular season numbers.
2-time Super Bowl MVP.
His regular season numbers don't even.
He plays in a windy place.
Calm down. For a team that in Aaron Rodgers, who they haven't made the playoffs, his numbers are way better than Eli Manning. So I wouldn't even compare those two. This is the problem that I have with it, and I've been a part of it. You know, when guys leave the team, all of a sudden they want to talk bad about the players that are still there. I've always had this issue with a lot of players I've played with, players that have left some other situations. I mean, perfect example, when Crabtree leaves San Francisco, and then he talks about Kaepernick, talking about him studying, talking about, the type of player he was out on the football field. Everything was fine when you were playing with him. Now all of a sudden you leave and you want to sit there and just run your mouth. I always had a problem with that. And so for Jermichael Finley, no, you should not talk about anybody else's family. That's their business. The way they handle their business with their family is their business. But as far as the whole arrogancy and how he handles different things, he's not the first that have said that.
Well, I don't have a problem with anybody that's got something to say about Aaron Rodgers, the football player inside that locker room. Because
you did about Greg Jennings when Greg Jennings said that.
No, because Greg Jennings left and went to Minnesota, and initially he was complimentary about Aaron Rodgers, and then all of a sudden he goes to Minnesota and he spoke a different tune. And that's when I said, you don't do that, which is what you just pointed to. That's my point. I don't have a problem with any player talking about Aaron Rodgers. I played with Aaron Rodgers. This is who he is as a player inside that locker room. But you don't know about him and his family. Right. And more importantly, if he did that to you, you'd be ready to knock his head off. So I'm like, wait a minute, you don't do something like that. You crossing the line, not to mention the fact that for somebody that's got quote unquote family issues, Aaron Rodgers has been a hell of a lot more productive than Jermichael Finley ever was. Let's call it what it is.
He had injury now.
I understand that.
But it does appear there's chemistry issues in that locker room.
I want to bring it back. Wait a minute. You guys are too quick to dismiss my brilliant Eli Manning point. The point is about...
If you said Tom Brady, I would have...
The point is... This is my point. The point is that when you take a good NFL quarterback, of course, the expectations for Aaron Rodgers is way above that. And when he exceeds the performance of a good NFL quarterback, that's not good enough for people because it can't make up for a bad defense and no running game. The point is, Aaron Rodgers isn't the problem. That's the point.
We agree with that.
Yes.
But what you need to stop doing is bringing up Eli Manning. Hold on, let me finish. Where you want to conveniently forget the fact that the man missed the playoffs 6 times in the last 7 years.
You want to do an Eli Manning segment right now?
I'm just saying. That's the point.
We could do that.
Later. We're going to get into the NFCs later. And during the Packers'
disrespecting them with 6 times
losing streak, Aaron Rodgers leads the NFL with 12 TD passes. The other lesson of the day, don't talk about other people's families.